Unit testing interview questions and answers. Beginner means advanced. Introduction. Unit testing is a software testing technique where individual components or units of code are tested independently. Unit testing is widely used for validating business logic, preventing regressions, improving code quality, CI/CD pipelines, test-driven development, TDD. Common unit testing frameworks include JUnit, Mockito, JUnit, PyTest, Jest. 120. Unit testing basics. What is unit testing? Testing individual units/components of code independently. Why use unit testing? Catch. Improves code quality. Catches bugs early. Enables safe refactoring. What is a unit in unit testing? Smallest testable piece of code. What is test case? Scenario verifying expected behavior. Validation checking expected result. What is test suite? Collection of test cases. What is automated testing? Tests executed automatically by tools frameworks. What is manual testing? Testing performed manually by humans. What is regression testing? Ensuring new changes do not break existing functionality. What is TDD? Test-driven development. TDD cycle? Check, red. Green, refactor. What is mock object? Simulated dependency used in testing. What is stub? Fake object returning predefined responses. What is fake object? Simplified implementation for testing. What is spy in testing? Tracks interactions with objects. What is isolation in unit testing? Testing component independently from dependencies. What is code coverage? Percentage of code executed by tests. What is flaky test? Test producing inconsistent results. What is deterministic test? Test always producing same result. What are characteristics of good unit tests? SAST, isolated, repeatable, readable. 21 to 40. JUnit and basic testing framework concepts. What is JUnit? Java Unit Testing Framework. Basic JUnit test example. @test void test add. Assert equals 4 2 plus 2. What is @test annotation? Marks test method. What is assert equals? Assert equals expected actual. Assert equals assert true, assert false, assert null, assert true example, assert true result. What is before each? Runs before every test. What is after each? Runs after every test. What is before all? Runs once before all tests. What is after all? Runs once after all tests. What is parameterized test? Execute same test with multiple inputs. Parameterized test example. Parameterized test. What is exception testing? Verifying expected exceptions. Exception assertion example. Assert throws exception.class. Line. Ensuring operation completes within limit. What is integration testing? Testing interaction between components. Unit testing versus integration testing. Unit tests isolate components. Integration tests validate collaboration. What is end-to-end testing? Testing complete application flow. What is test fixture? Set up data environment for tests. What is AAA pattern? Arrange, act, assert. 41 to 70. Mocking, dependency injection, and advanced testing. What is Mockito? Java mocking framework. Mock creation example. User service equals mock user service class. What is when.then return? When repo.find.then return data. What is verify in Mockito? Verify repo.save user. Why use mocks? Click isolate dependencies. Click avoid real database/API calls. What is dependency injection? Providing dependencies externally. Why is dependency injection important for testing? Makes mocking easier. Constructor injection example. Public service, repo. What is stubble? Generic term for mock, stub, fake, spy. What is behavior verification? Verifying interactions occurred correctly. What is state verification? Verifying object state output. What is mocking external API? Simulating external service behavior. What is database mocking? Replacing real database in tests. What is in-memory database? H2. SQLite. Why use in-memory database? Faster tests. Isolated environment. What is Spring Boot testing support? Framework support for application testing. What is at Spring Boot test? Spring Boot test. What is Mockbean? Mockbean. What is Web MVC test? Testing Spring MVC controllers. Controller test example. At Web MVC test, user controller.class. What is REST API testing? Testing API endpoints. Common API testing tools. Mock MVC, Postman, REST Assured. What is REST Assured? Java API testing framework. REST Assured example. Given, when, get, users. What is test pyramid? Comma, unit tests. Comma, integration tests. UI tests. Why should unit tests dominate pyramid? Faster and cheaper execution. What is mutation testing? Validating test effectiveness by modifying code. Percentage of branches executed. What is line coverage? Percentage of lines executed. What is mocking anti-pattern? Excessive unnecessary mocking. 71 to 100. Advanced unit testing and best practices. What is CI/CD integration with testing? Running tests automatically in pipelines. Common CI tools? Jenkins. GitHub Actions. GitLab CI. Why automate unit tests in CI/CD? Perl. Early bug detection. Build stability. What is parallel test execution? Running tests concurrently. Benefits of parallel testing? Curl. Faster execution. Curl. Scalability. What is test data management? Organizing reusable test datasets. What is test isolation? Preventing tests affecting each other. What is flaky test cause? Timing issues. Shared state. Async problems. What is mocking versus stubbing? Mock verifies behavior. Stub provides data. What is snapshot testing? Comparing outputs against stored snapshots. What is property-based testing? Generating random inputs automatically. Validating service interaction contracts. What is code smell in tests? Duplicated setup. Brittle assertions. Unclear naming. Best practices for unit testing. Small, focused tests. Meaningful test names. Isolated dependencies. What is naming convention for tests? Should return user when ID exists. What is a range act assert structure? Standard unit test organization pattern. What is testing asynchronous code? Validating async operations correctly. Async test example. Await service.fetch. What is mocking framework in .NET? Mock and substitute. What is Python unit testing framework? JUnit test. PyTest. What is Jest? JavaScript testing framework. Jest test example. Cast sum. What is coverage tool? Yes Coco. Istanbul Coverlet. What is test maintainability? Ease of updating tests over time. Common unit testing interview topics: mocking, assertions, TDD, dependency injection, code coverage. Common unit testing problems: tightly coupled code, flaky tests, slow test execution. How to become strong in unit testing: practice TDD, write tests daily, learn mocking deeply. Biggest unit testing interview concept: isolated, repeatable, automated validation of business logic. Key unit testing interview focus: mocking, assertions, isolation, TDD, and maintainable test design. Why is unit testing important? Improves software reliability, maintainability, and development speed. Unit testing interviews focus on assertions and test cases, mocking and stubbing, dependency injection, JUnit and testing frameworks, TDD principles, API and controller testing, code coverage, test maintainability. Key idea: strong developers understand isolated automated testing, dependency mocking, and scalable testing strategies for reliable software development.